Hello, my name is Esteban Sanchez Garcia, and today I'm going to talk about the third evidence of contemporary world. I think this is a culmination of the works we've done through the semester, so I wanted to be correct about it, and so let's start by learning the definitions the activity was asking us about. The first one is globalization. The globalization represents an integration of international trade, investment, information, and technology, and of course cultures. Often government policies designed to open economies domestically and internally to boost the development in poorer countries and raise the standards of living for their people are what drive globalization basically. However, these policies have created an international free market that has mainly benefited multinational corporations in the Western world, to the detriment of smaller business cultures and common people. Okay, so we have this term of globalization means like everything that we are living in, because for example, the phone, or with I'm recording this video was assembled on China, but it was created on the US. So there we can have a pretty cool example of what the topic is talking us about. It's about joining countries in an international trade system so that we can have things we don't have from each other, like for example food, technology, knowledge, even like we share what we know in technology, we share what we know in science discoveries, and I think it's pretty important for our society nowadays to have a pretty well-established globalization. So now the second term that we are going to talk about is terrorism. Terrorism emerges during the French Revolution in the late 18th century, but gained mainstream on the Ronald Reagan presidency of the United States. That's when the term become more global and more commonly used by people. It could be defined as the use of intentionally indiscriminate violence with to create terror among the masses of people, or fear to achieve religious or political aim. It's used in its regard primarily to refer to violence against peacetime targets or war against non-combatants. So, terrorism unfortunately has gained ground in the last 2 centuries because, of course, when we use this term, it means like some group or somebody was using violence to increase fear and to promote their ideas. I think it's a pretty bad position to all of us around the world, and unfortunately it keeps going, and for the moment we don't have ways to stopping it, because I think it's more of a political and religious term. So of course, as human beings, as mankind that we are, we cannot always agree with all the people, and unfortunately these people believe that through violence they can make more people believe in what they believe, or to be afraid, or to be angry even with the current government that's ruling. For example, a pretty common, I think, topic of discussion is the 9/11 attack. Well, that was a terrorist attack that struck not only the US but the world, because everybody's eyes were watching that event live. It was in 2001, so I couldn't, but I know the stories that my parents told me. They watched the news, and they were watching these 2 towers in New York, in South New York, being crashed with planes, and of course nobody really knew what was happening. Maybe an accident with the Ferris Tower, but then all the world saw how the other tower was struck by another plane, and that's when I think most of the people knew they were talking about a terrorist attack, because Osama bin Laden was the leader of the group who attacked towers, according to US investigations. And unfortunately, a lot of people died that day. I think that struck like the soul of the US, but also the soul of everyone who knows that killing is wrong, that kind of thing shouldn't happen nowadays. And unfortunately, it still happens, especially on Europe, I think. And yeah. And now for the third topic, we're going to talk about unipolarity. Such vocabulary is used in the international relations theory, so it describes the power balance in the world politics and is the result of various complexly organized hierarchical systems. Countries and civilizations, on one hand, the technical progress can be considered as a cause of a structured state, and the other is population growth, biological and social nature of humans, and the existence of people for a desire of communication. Now I'm going to talk about the topic that I like the most about this evidence, that is digital era. Well, I think has been evolving since maybe the 1970s, and it's basically, it has basically changed the way we we communicate, so the way we live, basically, because I wouldn't have this class if it wasn't for the digital era. And for example, when we talk about digital era, we think about our smartphones that change the way we communicate with people, change the way we express ourselves, change the way we heard about stuff like news, like terrorist attacks, for example. And I think it's a pretty good tool for us humans to communicate, and it's also related in some way. It's related to globalization, because now we are all connected, or almost all connected, by the digital era. The internet has brought us all together into a web that allows us to discover places we might not even know they exist, about people that are in suffering right now, and stuff like that. And I think it will continue to evolve as it's evolving right now, because I think if you think about inventions of humankind, I think the digital era is the one that has changed the most in so many, like now in so few years, because since it's not been like in the past 10 years, it has changed a lot of things. It has changed our political ideas, the way we express ourselves. So I think in next 10 years, there's no way to know how is this technology, or these technologies will continue to evolve. And I think that's the most interesting part of our times, to see how we can save lives, how we can change lives in some other place in the country or in the world. So that's pretty amazing, and that's about it. So thank you, teacher, for listening to this entire video. I hope you liked it, and have a good night.